My motto in life is options, not excuses. Seriously, let me tell you a bit of the backstory behind it. I spend a ton of my time working in the adventure industry and helping people achieve and overcome obstacles and mental blocks simply by putting them into a different level of adventure, a different kind of experience that kind of shakes them up. We all know we learn best by doing, and sometimes if we put ourselves in a strange situation, like say climbing to the top of a 40-foot pole and then walking across a tiny little cable to the other side, might help us process what we're experiencing in a different way. And one of the philosophies we live by in the adventure industry is called challenge by choice, and I love it so much I literally want it tattooed across my body at some point. See, challenge by choice says that each of our individual participants in a group gets to pick their level of challenge. I love it because it invites people to participate in a level that makes them feel comfortable, and hopefully if you line it up correctly, it'll push them to push themselves just a little bit further every single time. For example, if we go rock climbing with a group, I'll get participants who might freeze, or they might say, I'd like to come down about halfway up the climbing wall. And so I always ask them, as long as they sound like they're not freaking out and totally panicking, I always ask them to just take a moment, take a break, and try and go one step higher. Try and reach one more time just to try it. This conditions them to know that they are safe, and that maybe when we're in that space where we don't feel entirely comfortable, we can always try and go one step further. Now, what does this have to do with businesses? Am I on the right channel? Absolutely. Now, just hear me out for a sec. After teaching challenge by choice for the past 2 decades, I realized there's a loophole in there. See, I see challenge by choice as having this beautiful invitation to participate and push yourself further, but I saw something completely different this summer, and it's changed my perspective entirely. What I saw my staff doing was just going up to their participants and saying, okay, anyone who wants to do this next adventure, come on down. If you don't want to do it, don't worry, you can stay here. That gives people an out. That gives people an opportunity to say, nah, I'm not participating, instead of inviting them to find a way to participate at a level that's appropriate for them. So I proposed something different, and that's how my whole philosophy has changed. Instead of just saying, pick your level of challenge, whether that's in business or in school or in life or rock climbing, pick your level of challenge, but do not look for excuses not to participate. Instead, look for options of how you can help your team out. So let's keep with the rock climbing example. If you're standing on the ground, I get participants who show up and they're like, I don't want to climb, I'm too scared. That's totally okay. You can still participate in the experience with your feet on the ground. See, from there, you have a completely different perspective than the person who's climbing. You can help them out. You can see a different way around the obstacle or through the obstacle or over the obstacle from where you're standing relative to where anyone else is. No matter how you choose to participate, simply choosing to be there with your team, to be there in the experience, is way better of a learning opportunity than finding the first excuse that pops into your head to not participate. And so that's how options, not excuses came to be my personal motto. See, I work primarily with business owners, and it's amazing to see how when there's an obstacle, when there's a struggle, there's a lot of people who will throw their teammates under the bus, they'll throw their customers under the bus, they'll blame it on the market, they'll blame it on not having any resources. They're just coming up with excuses. But when I started to teach the idea of challenge by choice and options, not excuses, we started to see a huge shift in the mentality of these business owners that we were working with. Instead, they started to take ownership of what was happening in their businesses, regardless of what the market was doing, regardless of what obstacles they were facing at the time. They looked around them and looked at what resources they had. They looked around them and looked for opportunities to see the challenge from a different perspective. So today, consider this my invitation to you to join us in the Options Not Excuses lifestyle. And today, I'm going to share with you all about it. I'm going to teach you what the military taught me about running a business. Of course, we'll talk about the neuroscience behind the Options Not Excuses mentality. And I'll share with you 3 steps and 3 questions that you can start using today to bring the Options Not Excuses mindset into your life and into your business. So don't look for an excuse. I got you an option. Stay tuned. See you after the intro. In the Canadian Forces, we have a saying, soldier on. That means to persevere when times get tough. No matter how difficult or challenging the obstacle in front of you is or the situation you find yourself in, you have to push through. It's about adapting and overcoming. It's about knowing that you have been built for difficult things, whether that's learning CrossFit, running a marathon, or running a business. So first and foremost, if you want the Options Not Excuses mindset to work for you, you have to realize that A, you have been built for difficult things, and B, that you have the ability to push through anything. Maybe it might take a little extra thinking, maybe it might take a couple extra steps, maybe it might take reaching out and getting out of your comfort zone, but you have the ability to succeed. But you need to believe that for yourself. That is step numero uno. Which brings us to our question of the day. What obstacle are you facing right now? What big mountain of challenge is right in front of you? You know me, I love rock climbing, I love mountain metaphors. What is that mountain you are climbing? Let us know down in the comments. I love talking about what's happening in our brains when we're in these situations. And when we run businesses, a lot of times our brains and our bodies are facing a ton of stress. So there's 4 potential outcomes that happen when we're stressed, and I'm actually going to propose a 5th one. There's fight, there's flight, there's freeze, there's fawn, and I'll tell you about what my 5th one is in just a second. See, no matter what reaction you experience, your reaction is perfectly normal. Stress affects us all differently, and the way that we handle them and the way that we express and experience that trauma, that stress, is going to feel a little bit different for all of us. So first off, know that whatever your current set of reactions is perfectly normal. But also recognize that we have the ability to train our brains and our bodies to react in a more productive way. Say you're under stress and your natural reaction is to throw everyone under the bus, to blame other people. Well, that's your fight mentality. Maybe you're like me and you would just pick up and leave and just go on a vacation or take some time off. And well, that's a very classic flight response. It's not very productive, is it? Or worse yet, maybe you got into the freeze mentality where you actually stopped thinking and you were so overwhelmed by stress and anxiety that you couldn't actually process any thoughts to move forward. Maybe you even gave up on your business at that point. I know I've met a ton of entrepreneurs who have experienced that, and clearly just giving up is not productive either. Now there's another reaction you can have, which is the fawning reaction, which is to just give up your sense of personhood. Let's get less technical here. It's just give up and allow and appease everyone around you. So that means if you have an angry customer, you're just going to throw your hands up and do whatever the customer asks, instead of looking for a better solution. That kind of reaction might win in the short term, but it's definitely not going to win in the long term. So you want my other response? Well, simple. Face it. Power through it. Recognize that you have options rather than looking for that first convenient excuse. So no matter what your obstacle is, there are solutions around it. Sometimes that does mean recognizing and standing up to the consequences, but most of the time it means standing in our confidence and connecting with another human. It means being vulnerable, being authentic. It means being a human. So think about how you're changing your stress response and start trying to face it. And also, while you're at it, hit the subscribe button and join us here on the channel. If you want to implement the options not excuses mindset into your life and your business, well, I've got 3 tips for you, followed by 3 questions you have to ask on a daily basis. First thing you have to do is to use the resources and document the resources you have at hand. So say you want to create better content for connection. Well, instead of looking at excuses like, I don't have money for a camera, I don't know what microphone to use, look around you and realize if you have a cell phone, you probably have a camera attached to that. Look for the resources you have at hand. Then, the second thing I want you to do is document the resources you still need. Connect each of those resources to someone who can help you attain them. For example, I was building a doghouse with a friend of mine recently, and what we realized was we didn't have some of the power tools that we needed. So we sat down and we brainstormed and we thought about how we could obtain the tools that we needed. We also didn't have a ton of money for this project, so we had to look outside of the box of just going to the store and purchasing these tools. So we found the tool library and we found a way that we could, for a very nominal price, get access to the tools that we needed. That way, we could move forward with the project. We found options rather than coming up with excuses. And the third absolutely essential step to implementing the options not excuses mindset is to debrief every opportunity you have. Debriefing at a very basic level is going through a task and then thinking about and reflecting on how it went. Like asking yourself, how can I do better next time? What did I learn in the first place? And sometimes those questions aren't as obvious for us. So here's a very simple set of 3 questions, a 3-question framework that you can ask yourself every single night. I want you to ask yourself, what? So what? Now what? First question is what? What happened? Tell us as if you're a journalist reporting on the facts. Tell us as if you're a security camera or a fly on the wall. Tell us what happened. Then the second question is, so what? What does that mean? What is the underlying important lesson? What is the implication of what happened? And question 3 is, now what? So moving forward, how are we going to take what we've learned in this experience and implement it in the future so that either we can avoid the problems that we had or we can get more of the wins that we recognized we had in that situation? What? So what? Now what? Now, I could take this opportunity to say, take the options, not excuses pledge, but I promise you I'm not going to do that. Instead, all I'm going to say is if you want to implement the options, not excuses mindset into your business, then the best way to do that is to join the visibility hacking community. We're all about options, not excuses. We're all about connecting with our communities. We're all about building our businesses together. You can find the links down in the description. You can join us over there. But in the meantime, check out one of these videos, and I will see you again very, very soon. Until I do, my friends, remember, I love you, be excellent to each other, just go live. People are out there waiting for you.